2023. I'm going to be honest, the way they pronounce their town or city name over here is very confusing to me. I used to live in a town called Bourne. There's a very distinct Bourne sound. And then for some reason, I got here, I said Melbourne, and everyone made fun of me. So we will not be doing that in future. But of course, we're not here to talk about pronunciations. We're here to talk about video game championship action. And we have been spoiled so far all morning. Pretty sure that's going to continue.
I mean, try living in Wales for 5 years with those town names. Those are definitely interesting ones to pronounce. But, of course, the Pokemon action will carry on here.
It's probably the fairest and most obvious way to play the game. So it's going to be Fluttermane and Talonflame locked in for Alex Underhill. And Stefan bringing the Talonflame and Golden Go. So just assuming the Talonflames decide to be honest with each other and just Tailwind, the advantage is in Stefan's favor.
Yeah, that Fluttermane has to watch out, though. Of course, Golden Go can go for something like the powerful Make It Rain and deal destructive damage to that opposing Fluttermane. And it's definitely something you have to worry about, that booster energy, boosting up the special attack stat by 30% on Fluttermane there. You need to be able to deal with it because it can deal super effective damage to that opposing Golden Go with something like a Shadow Ball.
Yep, well, it is going to be kind of mix-up here, I think, from Stefan, trying to play things a little bit differently, looking down at some of the information that he has access to on the team sheet, potentially trying to get something out of it. But it is going to be an immediate terastallization here onto the Fluttermane. You were talking about some of those Terra types coming through. This is not one you usually see on the Fluttermane.
Definitely not. Fluttermane has got itself all beautiful and bejeweled, and this is a perfect defensive typing in the face of a potential Make It Rain. Tailwinds coming up from the Talonflame on Alex's side, and the Talonflame on Stefan's side going straight on the offensive, doing nearly 50% damage to that opposing Fluttermane. Is going to have to take a little bit of recoil and break its own Gale Wings here, as well as the Life Orb recoil. But Fluttermane can go first here. The Dazzling Gleam doing just only a little bit of chip to both of these, and the Golden Go not actually going for Make It Rain here. Stefan going straight for this nasty plot and boosting itself up.
Well, if you're going to try and get through a Steel Terra type, you're going to need a little bit of help to do that. And the nasty plot is exactly the way to do that. But a good turn for Alex, of course, does manage to just set up one of those Tailwinds and put a lot of pressure down on the opposing Talonflame, which, as you said, broke its own Gale Wings. So certainly won't be winning that Talonflame mirror match quite as easily. I do think getting that Tailwind up is really, really important. As Golden Go protects, Stefan may be forced a little bit here to try and match up on that Tailwind, but we'll have the extra turn. Opposing Talonflame, though, not having it, is just going to Brave Bird and shut that one down.
Yeah, goodbye. No chance here of getting a Tailwind up on Stefan's side, and that's something he's got to play around now because the speed advantage will be on Alex's side while that Tailwind is activated. You can see the Shadow Ball coming out there from the Fluttermane, and that's something Golden Go is going to have to watch out for too. I mean, Stefan does still have utility to go for the terrestrialization here. On the Golden Go, it's water type here. I mean, that's still not going to help you necessarily in the face of this Fluttermane.
Well, the mouse hold is really big here because the mouse hold can, of course, follow me and take some of those options away. You know the Fluttermane holds the booster energy, so isn't going to be able to deal with that. And the mouse hold can buy a lot of time for this Golden Go. But, you know, even with the nasty plot, you're still going into the Steel Terra typing of this Fluttermane, which is going to kind of wall you out really nicely. And if you don't throw down that follow me, if you disrespect that option, then guess what? You know, you're just going to get caught by a Shadow Ball at some point, and it's going to do a whole lot of damage. So Alex feels like he's in the driving seat. Obviously, has to be careful with some of these Tailwind turns ticking away. He's already used one of them, so he's got 2 more to go. But once again, Talonflame shuts down these mouse holds really, really well. Of course, if you can deal with the Fluttermane this turn, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, he kind of takes the bait on the follow me, but he got the taunt down.
Yeah, you kind of have to play it that way. The Make It Rain is going to come out and not be able to get the KO on either of the opposing Pokemon. And you're right, you know, you go for the taunt that shuts down the mouse hold. You can't follow me now, so that Shadow Ball is going to be able to connect onto that Golden Go if that's who Alex wants to target down to. Yes, you kind of waste that one turn, but it's worth the trade-off in case Mousehold wanted to go for something else here.
Yeah, Mousehold now only has one option as well, and Alex knows that, so he can play around with that in mind, maybe trying to target that down and see exactly what he does. This Golden Go, even after the nasty plot, just hasn't had enough kind of purchase or grip in the game, and I think not having that early Tailwind, not taking that handshake, has set it behind. Of course, Stefan is just trying to set up for his last 2 Pokemon to try and sweep the game when the Tailwind's done, but you can't lose too many resources before that time. So Talonflame will land this Will-O-Wisp onto the Mousehold. It's going to help out if something like the Beat Up comes through, which he knows is the only option because of the taunt. So that's going to do even less damage. Fluttermane still trying to get after that Golden Go.
Yeah, it just really, really wants to get the KO, but Golden Go's not letting it happen here. Mousehold, as you said, can only go for the beat up, but look at the minimal damage it is doing. This Fluttermane's easily going to be able to take this.
Yeah, Fluttermane does not care about that. Of course, the terrestrialization helping out there as well, and a little bit of damage down on the Mousehold, just keeping it kind of on a timer. Though I will say that Protect does get you through the final turn of the Tailwind, but Talonflame's still there, so if Alex really wanted, he could set it back up again. I will say the Fluttermane doesn't have access to Protect, so does have to be quite careful about some of this, but seeing the Protect from the Golden Go last turn could kind of seal things up a little bit here. Oh no, it does, my apologies, I was looking over on the wrong side, but you know, doesn't feel the need to. It's been able to be kept safe from turn 1 by the Terra typing, by the Will-O-Wisps, and just causing a lot of problems.
I mean, you don't have to worry about a Flare Blitz coming out from the opposing Talonflame. It hasn't got it. It's got Brave Bird, however, that could still do a significant chunk. Or you could always, you know, you can't go for a Will-O-Wisp on it or a Taunt or anything like that to use for the good as gold ability. But we are going to see a Terrestrialization on Stefan's Golden Go here. It is going to be the Water type, just trying to maybe give it that little bit of extra defensive capabilities in the face of the Shadow Ball coming out from the Fluttermane. Yeah,
taking away the weakness of Shadow Ball is absolutely huge here, but it looks like Alex is really trying to get rid of this Pokemon right now. Is just going to target it down with the Brave Bird, doesn't want another one off those Tailwinds coming up. So, you know, feels like he's in a driving seat anyway. Ooh. And that Terrestrialization has absolutely saved this Golden Go for this turn, but has got a lot of work to do on the last turn. It does still have the +1 boost from the Nasty Plot, so could level things up very, very quickly as the Make It Rain after the beat up is going to be enough to pick up a double knockout. And that Terrestrialization, another fantastic choice from these players, has kind of swung things in Stefan's favor right now as the Tailwind's gone, the Taunt option's gone, and the Fluttermane is finally gone. So it is 3v2 in Stefan's favor, and he's going to have to kind of really push on as this Water-type Golden Go is going to be causing some problems.
Yeah, absolutely love to see this. I think it was wise from Stefan to kind of preserve that Terrestrialization for this point in the match, because at the end of the day, Alex really didn't have to target down that Mousehold. All eyes were going to be focusing onto the Golden Go here. Beat up was going to do nothing. The one thing it does give Alex utility to do now, however, is bring in those last two remaining Pokemon in the back, and it's going to be the Glamora and that Iron Bundle as well. Iron Bundle nice and fast, might be able to get a KO against this opposing Golden Go here.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about the Water typing right now. With Freeze Dry as an option for the Iron Bundle, it's looking a little bit dicey. I mean, it's not like it needs to do much damage, but it's just a guaranteed bit of information to take into the last game. Of course, you know, we are looking at the beat up option once again, but you know, that's not going to do much damage, right? It's going to do very, very little. It's going to do even less if this Golden Go gets dealt with as well. So the Glamora, you know, will be able to just throw out some big attacks. Glamora has a crazy high special attack stat. I think it's something that a lot of people forget. You know, it reminds me of some of these very niche special attackers from years gone by, but it fits a very distinctive role. And yeah, Iron Bundle doesn't mess around. It's just hydro pumping into the Mousehold.
Yeah, Golden Go goes down as well. You know, it doesn't have that steel typing. You can hit it with these poison type moves once it's terrestrialized. That's not something you see every day, but it's able to get the knockout, with Stefan now only having this Mousehold on the field that can go for this pitiful beat up into the opposing Iron Bundle.
Is that even moving the bar down?
I think you blink and you'll miss it, Adam.
It didn't quite get there, and of course it's even less because the Golden Go has dropped, and it only does enough based on how many you've got. I will say this is a Great Tusk coming in right now at the end, and the Great Tusk, you know, is basically being asked to do all the work. The Mousehold can buy it, I'd say, a turn, but the Great Tusk could definitely close out games. If you give up on the Mousehold and you just throw down something like the Earthquake, you could be in a really good position. The Great Tusk also buys itself plenty of time with that Focus Sash. So Iron Bundle here could be in a great position. Depends on the Iron Bundle's moveset and what it wants to commit to. I think if it goes wide, that could definitely change things up here, because as we've talked about on the broadcast already, Great Tusk's special defense is... It's a special defense. How useful it is a very, very different conversation.
And of course, you're against a Glamora, and you might be like, you know, the poison type move is not necessarily the best thing to throw down into a ground type, but it is still rocking that choice specs. And as you mentioned, the pitiful special defense, that's still going to be able to deal a significant chunk, and that'll be more than enough with the synergy with Iron Bundle to be able to deal with it. Of course, the taunts come off this Mousehold. It can redirect with that Follow Me once again, draw in this Freeze Dry that's going to connect down onto the Mousehold and get the KO, leaving this Great Tusk on its own here on the field.
Yeah, but Alex is taking the pressure off, because this now means that Great Tusk is able to attack for free. Iron Bundle is going to go down, and the big thing here is, yeah, Iron Bundle going down didn't land that Icy Wind, didn't break that Focus Sash, and Stefan's in a really good position. This is going to be a Sludge Bomb. Of course, it's going into the lower defenses, but Great Tusk, you know, not very effective, does get poisoned. I don't think it's going to be enough, because at some point it's just going to go and hit the Glamora, and it's going to be able to get the knockout.
Well, this is the thing, we know the Glamora can't protect its choice specs, and we saw that the Great Tusk was moving first, so if it's going to be able to connect this Headlong Rush, which it does, of course, it's going to be able to get the KO.
Yep, I mean, Glamora, not a Pokemon with the highest stats. It's definitely up there, but not enough. So a Great Tusk sweep from Stefan, really saving his bacon at the end of this game, where he was really up against it. And Alex, you know, I think he just took the foot off a little bit. Didn't expect the follow me, which is an odd one.
Yeah.
Because, yes, I know Icy Wind can miss. I know it's terrible when it misses. But not respecting that follow me is a little bit awkward to see.
Definitely, and that was the turning point at the end of that game one. You know, there was still a lot of momentum that Alex could have got. Like you said, you've got the Icy Wind, you can lower the speed, break that focus sash critically, and I think that was how it turned out towards the end. You know, the Great Tusk was also faster, so there wasn't really a lot that Glamora could do. I mean, you saw that it could have easily been a two-shot onto that opposing Great Tusk, but just with the speed being in Stefan's favor there towards the end, that was what was able to clean him up the game.
Yeah, and that's you know, that's definitely something to think about, right? Is, you know, it is an ask the Mousehold. Obviously, the Friend Guard is coming through there and helping out. Would of course lower the damage, but breaking that focus sash seems so important to me. And then, you know, Mousehold was low. Do I think it would have got knocked out by the Icy Wind? Potentially. Like, Iron Bundle does a lot of damage, so it was definitely going to be close. But not giving himself that option at all just allowed the Great Tusk to tidy up the game.
I mean, you never want to get poisoned either and kind of set that lavender haze around you, but it really didn't matter in this particular point in the match. It was just a little bit too late at that point, and Stefan just was able to get that critical KO. I like the way Alex played this, though. You know, going for the Talonflame very early on and getting the Tailwind up and setting that momentum was really nice. But Stefan did something really clever and preserved that Golden Go and played it really well. You know, not being afraid to click that protect button and make sure that the Flutter Mane on the opposing side wasn't able to get the KO, and then going for that amazing Terra Water at the critical point in order to survive that Shadow Ball double up combination, I think really helped him keep that momentum. So going into game two, that's something that Stefan, I think, still needs to keep up in order to protect himself from the onslaught that Alex is going to be bringing in game two.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in that game. It was quite a long game, surprisingly, to unpack and see how much was going on there. So Alex definitely took the lead. I think Stefan opened up a big window, and then it definitely swung, in my opinion, Alex's favor a little bit. You know, an Icy Wind could have changed things very significantly. Icy Wind would have been able to change up that speed tier as well, which could be big, right? Like, that could be absolutely huge. I will say the Glamora not having a spread attack as well. I mean, it has one, but would I recommend using it? No. Not again next to an Iron Bundle, we'll put it that way. But, you know, definitely some considerations for how to close out the game. And Stefan just had a game plan. Bring in Great Tusk. Let's go.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, making these adjustments coming into game two, we'll have to see. It's going to be the same for Alex, however, Flutter Mane and the Talonflame, whereas on Stefan's side, that Great Tusk is out in front, but the Talonflame's paired up this time. I wonder if we're going to see matching Tailwinds this time as an adjustment. I
think that would put Stefan in an even better position than he was, you know, at the end of turn one, game one. Just being able to set that Tailwind feels very, very wise. Being able to, you know, get that speed up just really makes a lot of sense, as it's going to be a Terastallization for Stefan, trying to set up to maybe deal some extra damage in this one, as expected. It is going to be the flying type over on the Talonflame.
I love to see this. You're still going to be able to have your Gale Winds activated. That Brave Bird flying type move will still have priority despite the Tailwind going up on the opposing side for Alex here. And that extra boost you get from being Flyer Terra is going to be devastating. I wonder if it's going to get the KO though.
Yeah, that's the difference that he wants to make in this game. Going for the Brave Bird into the opposing Talonflame. It is going to take it down. That is a huge amount of damage to drop there on turn number one. Of course, a massive amount of recoil. And now it's up to this Flutter Mane to try and fire back as best possible. Dazzling Gleam will get both. Of course, the Talonflame's going to get knocked out because it's not a fire type anymore. And Great Tusk is brought down to its focus sash. So an explosive turn one here in Oceania.
Oh, I think the Talonflame's done its job, though. Getting rid of the opposing Talonflame here will now go back to its Pokeball, but the key thing is that Focus Sash has preserved the Great Tusk. It can go for the Headlong Rush into this opposing Flutter Mane, but it's not enough to get the KO. It's able to hang on.
No, it's not enough to close out on this Flutter Mane, and that is going to be a really tough one. This is Alex's time. He has access to the Tailwind. You know, he's used it. He's going first, and he needs to capitalize on it. I think being able to keep going with something like the Dazzling Gleam is really big here. But Glamora coming in as another Pokemon that will very much appreciate the Tailwind. one of its weaknesses is it's not the fastest thing. You know, it's pretty pacey, but it's not up there with some of the other options that we have available to us already. And just being able to capitalize on that would be absolutely huge.
And I like these two Pokemon on the field for Stefan right now. You're forcing the Fluttermane to kind of go for that Dazzling Gleam again in order to pick up the KO against the Great Tusk that would be able in turn to be able to get the KO on that Glamora if it's able to go first, if it's not going to be KO'd by Fluttermane, but that then therefore leaves the Golden Go completely exposed to go for something like a Make It Rain.
Yep, well, the Glamora's leaving the field.
Goodbye.
Not feeling this one. Definitely not a great matchup for it as King Gambit comes to the fore, so an easy, quick switch there. Fluttermane just protects, obviously wants to try and feel out the situation a little bit more, see what's going on, and not attack into a Protect. So just mirroring the Protect there makes a lot of sense, as it's going to be a Protect all around. Not even going to work for Golden Go, so still has access to that, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. All of them here going quite defensively. We've got a switch, and King Gambit gets in unscathed at this point. But I think the critical thing is things haven't changed so much. The only difference is you can now Sucker Punch with King Gambit into that Great Tusk. Yeah,
the King Gambit with the Sucker Punch definitely helps out here. Can also kind of, you know, try and apply a little bit extra pressure to the Golden Go, right? You know, being able to catch it with potentially an Assurance as well.
Possibly.
Would be really nasty after a Dazzling Gleam. So Roaring Moon will be the switch in here. A Pokemon that's definitely been on the fringes of usability, getting a lot of attention from a lot of players. Protosynthesis is going to activate, so it is going to be quite pacey, and that's going to be really, really big. As Great Tusk goes for the double. Not going to get it.
Does not get it. Fails to get the Protect here as the Fluttermane can go for that Dazzling Gleam. Is going to be able to get the double knockout onto Roaring Moon. It does so much damage, being Dragon and Die 4 times effective here. And of course that 1 HP more than enough against that Great Tusk.
Yeah, that was a dangerous switch in when you knew Dazzling Gleam was a potential play. And the King Gambit going for the Assurance. So no matter what was stuck on the field there, I think it was probably just going down. King Gambit, of course, appreciating that Tailwind, being able to move before something like this Golden Go. And this is a lot of work for the Golden Go to do now. Is definitely going to be asked to take out 3 Pokemon. Yes, one of them is low, but the other one is King Gambit, and the other one's Glamora with a Choice Spec. So throwing the towel in there for Stefan puts the set at 1-1. I think we're in for a great game 3.
Oh, we definitely are, and I love that Fluttermane in that game too. Really kind of being the little vigilante here for Alex, being able to get the KOs against all the annoying Pokemon on Stefan's team to deal with, and just being able to be a lot more formidable in that game too, as opposed to game 1 where I felt like, you know, those Shadow Balls were constantly hitting Protects or got redirected by that mouse hold, and Alex just was right in the driving seat from the off here. It was an interesting change as well, you know, still going for that Tailwind at the beginning and losing it so early on. But the Tailwind still stays in effect, even if Talonflame's gone, and both Alex's Pokemon could benefit from that.
Alex learns his lesson from game 1. Spread moves are cool.
Yes.
Right? Like, yeah, there was no follow me involved, but the amount of work that spread, you know, Dazzling Gleam did on a couple turns is absolutely crazy. Like, spread moves feel so impactful when they're coming off such high damage Pokemon like the Fluttermane. Like, I cannot reiterate this enough, is these Pokemon do so much damage. They are just ridiculous at the damage output that they put down. And so being able to play around with that, you know, certainly helps a little bit. I think it's been a fantastic set so far. But, you know, Stefan is very okay not taking the Tailwind option. I thought at the beginning of the set, you know, you kind of just handshake it every single time. You say, you know what, I'll get Tailwind, you get Tailwind, we'll play the next 3 turns, you know, straight up and see how we go. But Alex definitely took way more advantage of it in that game than he did in game number 1. I like him being able to keep the stab on Dazzling Gleam, put down that ridiculous amount of damage. And Stefan, you know, the team change, I'm not sure that leaving the mouse hold behind was the way to go. The mouse hold was so impactful. I mean, mouse hold kind of balances the playing field, right? Like, spread moves obviously have that reduced damage. They're coming off high damage Pokemon. But you add Friend Guard in, it's definitely in your favor.
That's the thing, the Friend Guard's really, really helpful, particularly when it's paired up with something like that Golden Go that needs the extra bit of support in order to take attacks. But speaking of partners for the mouse hold, it's back in action, Adam, and paired up with its good friend Annihilate. Yeah,
Annihilate is going to be a big concern in this matchup, something that players have been looking at for a little while already. But this Annihilate is different. As you called it at the beginning of the set, it's definitely a bulkier one, definitely one that, you know, I've seen it with Choice Scarves, I've seen it with all kinds of items, but you know, I don't think the Leftovers one has really got the time that it needs so far. So definitely a little bit of work to do, and let's see how Stefan plays it. Has a dedicated lead.
If you play it right, though, the Annihilate is so difficult to deal with, particularly if you've got the mouse hold, obviously helping it with Friend Guard, then it can provide some redirection. It can obviously go for that beat up straight away. It'll be able to connect 4 times onto the Annihilate and get that Rage Fist boosted up by an extra 50 base power each hit. So suddenly you've got a 200 base power move that's going to be able to deal out big destructive damage. And in the face of something like that Fluttermane, it's not going to appreciate it. So I like the adjustment here, going going for the Terra Steel, dropping that kind of ghost typing that would have been very difficult to deal with in the face of Rage Fist.
Yeah, but then now you're able to get Drain Punched, which is
That is
kind of a
true.
downside of this whole situation. Mousehold does lock in the Follow Me, so let's see how this one is going to be played out. I think the Mousehold was so good. It's a straight-up taunt this time, so just shutting down that Mousehold turn 1 instead of turn 2 like it was in previous games.
And Fluttermane going for that Dazzling Gleam once again. The Annihilate is going to take a significant chunk of damage against it here, but it's going to be able to go for that bulk up. Now, of course, getting the defense boost is only going to really help it in the face of Talonflame, but critically it's going to get that attack boost as well. And like you said, Adam, you know, you can always start going for those Drain Punches, regaining a little bit of HP. You can still also go for your Fire Terror on Annihilate that we've seen being such a fantastic defensive terror, particularly in the face of all these fairy types.
Yeah, you're kind of forcing Mousehold's hand a little bit here as well with the taunt. You're saying you have to play the beat-up strategy.
Yes.
And that's something that, you know, some players aren't so keen on. I think if, you know, this is a really good turn. Looking at what Stefan's locked in, he said, you know what, Mousehold, it's not your time. I'll get the Talonflame in. If he gets the Talonflame in for free and gets the Tailwind up, gets through the Protect, then he's going to be in a really good position. So this is kind of a big turn. If this switch and Protect mode does give him that wiggle room, I think if Alex tries to punish him a little bit here, you know, target down that Mousehold slot, say, yeah, your Annihilate's going to Protect, catch something on the way in, things could look very, very different. So we'll see how he decides to play this turn. This is just a straight-up offensive pair from Alex. But, you know, if he slows things down trying to set up a Tailwind, it could look a little bit different. It is going to be the Protect right there. Let's see how he decides to go for it. Yes, Brave Bird. Ooh, into that Protect, though.
Fantastic play there from Stefan, going for the Protect and just preserving that Annihilate a little bit more. Shadow Ball was going into that as well, so fantastic. Gets the Talonflame in, and this is critical because Mousehold is still in the back, ready to come back in and have that action, but critically won't have that taunt on it anymore. Now, this is the interesting thing. If you're Stefan, you know that if you go for a Terror on your Annihilate, you're going to be able to protect it up, but that Talonflame is going to be the critical Pokemon. Is it going to go for something like a Tailwind, or are we going to see the switch?
It's going to be tough, but that Mousehold switch wasn't something that Alex seemed to consider. Just going after that, you know, the Annihilate, kind of saying, you know what, you're taunted, you're playing the beat-up strategy. That's fine. You can start doing that. You can start powering up your moves. Cool, have a nice day. I'm just going to target down the Annihilate. Well, didn't really work in the end, right? Because the Annihilate just protected. So Stefan definitely in a really good position here. Like you say, that Mousehold is going to be able to come back in. It is going to be able to be free of the burden of Taunt. And, you know, in between those turns, the Annihilate is just healing things up. The Annihilate will be going with a Terra Fire as well, which is a really useful type. It's certainly a little bit different, not something people were expecting, but it takes away a lot of the weaknesses that he's staring down from Alex's side of the field.
Exactly, and if you can use those leftovers and Drain Punch to get that HP back, then this terrifying Annihilate is going to be hard to deal with. Tailwind comes up from the opposing Talonflame here, as Fluttermane does go for the Shadow Ball, is going to be able to find its mark down onto the opposing Annihilate, but is able to take that so well thanks to the defensive typing change and the Drain Punch on the opposing side. Fluttermane cannot take that at all. Annihilate going to be able to reap up all this juicy HP as Fluttermane goes down.
Yeah, I mean, Fluttermane, it's when your Terra type comes back to hurt you, right? Like, you looked at it, yes, it feels good to drop the Ghost typing, but you're Steel typing, and now you're going to run into problems. You can't hit the Annihilate hard enough. The Annihilate is free of Fairy type attacks. You've lost some damage output on the Shadow Ball as well, and you stop and pause to Tailwind. The one thing I will say about the Fire typing is if Iron Bundle's in the back, that would be able to hit it quite nicely with a Hydro Pump, but that's going to get redirected for a while. You've got to deal with this Mousehold at some point. So Iron Bundle comes in now, you know, but at the same time, you know, unless Iron Bundle, you know, can get away from it, yeah, those Drain Punches are going to hurt too, Lou.
Exactly, they definitely are. And this is the thing, if you underestimate this Annihilate Mousehold combination, then Karma's going to come back. And it's just going to be really difficult for you to deal with. I've got to say, the Iron Bundle is always so unnerving the way it doesn't move. It always freaks me out from this side of the desk. But you're going to see a Protect here from the Mousehold, so not going to go for any redirection here. And actually a defensive play coming out from the Annihilate as well. Stefan maybe just trying to see what this Iron Bundle wants to get up for, and also burn through a turn of that Tailwind on Alex's side.
Burn through Tailwind, understand what attacks are coming your way. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, Brave Bird, Hydro Pump. And I don't know with Friend Guard if there's any way to just easily tear through this. Also, get a little leftovers recovery. Never hurt nobody. You're not getting back up to full, but you know you're getting close at this point. And another Drain Punch into something like you know, the Iron Bundle would probably be really helpful there. It really does depend, you know, what Alex's last Pokemon is. That, you know, it's going to be tough, but you know, Stefan's in the driving seat. He's still got 4 Pokemon remaining as he's slowly whittling down the amount of usefulness that he can get out of this team that, you know, he's bought in this game.
Well, Iron Bundle this time going for the Protect. We are going to see the Follow Me once again coming out from Mousehold, drawing in the attacks from this opposing Talonflame that is going to go for the Taunt and lock it down once again. That utility support Pokemon isn't going to be able to be as effective as Stefan wants it to be. The Rage Fist, however, does go down into that opposing Talonflame, not falling victim for going into the Iron Bundle, and just amazing read there by Stefan, calling the Protect and targeting correctly.
That one bulk up has just been so important. That bulk up on turn 1 has been great. I think the way Stefan switched the board around in this game, I mean, bringing a different strategy to begin with, but also the pressure applied by the Mousehold. You know, you're kind of, I don't want to say wasting, but turns are getting used to deal with the Mousehold, right? And just the presence of it, the fact it has the Follow Me, this supportive friend guardy Mousehold, has drawn so much attention over to its side of the field. It is now Alex Underhill down to his last 2 Pokemon, a still full 4 for Stefan Mott. And, you know, this Annihilate seems pretty unstoppable right now. I don't know if there's a clean answer, as Iron Bundle does Icy Wind, but that's not really the move you want to throw into a Fire type.
Yeah, and also into a Defiant Pokemon like the Annihilate. Definitely risky. Yes, you're going to get the speed drop and a little bit of chip on the opposing Mousehold, but really it's the Annihilate we need to find a way around. Power Gem was going down into that slot, so a nice Protect, and I have to really credit the way that Stefan's been able to play this, you know, not just going straight on the offensive, taking the time to go for these Protects and make sure the ball position's in a good spot. Of course, the Mousehold can only go for the beat up here, and it is going down obviously into that opposing Iron Bundle, but really doing very limited damage.
Yeah, I mean, it's just free damage though, right?
Yeah,
like,
a little bit.
You know, you really got little out of the Iron Bundle. That was the turn where the Iron Bundle probably needed to start going for big damage, right?
Yeah.
Throwing down something like the Hydro Pump. But at the end of the day, I mean, Drain Punch is coming at some point, and I don't know if this Iron Bundle is going to be able to shut it down in time. And it's going to get pretty close, but I think as long as this Annihilate gets an attack off, Stefan should be able to tidy this one up. Bear in mind, he still has another Pokemon in the back that we haven't even seen yet, so he's definitely in the driving seat. Hydro Pump goes to the Mousehold, which is kind of crazy because you know it can't Follow Me.
Yeah, so why, I don't know why that wasn't going down into the Fire Annihilate here, but looks like Power Gem's going to be able to follow up, however, and it will still get the KO. So there we go. That makes complete sense, being able to get the double knockout on Alex's side, and suddenly he's drawn himself right back into this game. You have good speed advantage in the face, you know, the fact that you have this Iron Bundle. The critical thing is, though, once again, we've got Talonflame and Great Tusk. Talonflame still has full HP, I believe, there, so is going to be able to go for a Tailwind if Stefan wants.
Yeah, can set up the Tailwind and let this Great Tusk absolutely run away with the game. Thinking that was going to be the 4th Pokemon is just really good. I mean, this is kind of what Stefan did in game number 1, right? Where he just locked down the end of the game with the Great Tusk. So being able to set that up at the end, set up a Tailwind of his own, makes a whole lot of sense. It's going to come through. Preserving the Gale Wings has been absolutely huge here. So let's see. I mean, as long as, you know, you just knock a Pokemon out each turn, I think you'll be fine. And of course, you can go for both of them. You have access to Earthquake. You're next to the Talonflame. So this Talonflame Great Tusk team coming to the fore.
Well, that's true. You don't even have to worry about hitting your partner Pokemon. We've seen a lot with, you know, Great Tusk going for the Headlong Rush, but you don't even have to worry about that here. I think it's wise from the Iron Bundle to go for the Protect here, but this is just where Stefan is in the driving seat. You see the Tailwind come out as well, guaranteeing that you are going to have that speed advantage coming into the next turn and try and get another Earthquake off, and Great Tusk is going to be able to go 4 times super effective into that opposing Glimora here, and, you know, this is where things get really difficult for Alex. Glimora goes down in a 1-hit KO, and Iron Bundle, you're on your own, kid, here.
Yeah, I don't think there's any real reason to try and play that one any other way. Stefan just has the game locked up, right? The Iron Bundle Protect isn't going to buy you anything. You know, maybe you're in a position where it could try and get through. You were playing for the Headlong Rush going into that slot, but Alex Underhill knows his fate is sealed as Stefan Mott takes his set 2-1. So really good performance.